Hey there, I'm Coach Michael Burg, the Super Coach, and every week I like to come into your life really to do three things: multiply your life, multiply your money, even multiply your business. And I do that through a podcast called Super Coach. And many people have asked me for years, why Super Coach? Where did it come from? Where did the concept of Super Coach come from? And it came from me being in Miami, and Grant Cardone wanted me to speak to his team, and he texted out or tweeted out the night before, we have the Super Coach, right? We have the Super Coach here in the studios with us tomorrow. What should we ask him? So today I got a great topic for you. Just like every week, we're into multiplying, what good coaches do. We're into helping you perform at a higher frequency. Today's topic, how to be open to anything and closed off to nothing. It's going to open your mind to how you handle criticism, feedback. And I'm going to show you what so many people do that I think is a huge mistake. This is a mistake I made for many years as it related to feedback. I'm Coach Michael Burg. You're watching Super Coach.
Everybody needs a coach in life. Coaching businesses and entrepreneurs like you to spike an additional 40% to your bottom line. Michael Burg is a multi-championship coach, best-selling author, trainer, motivator, and all-around super coach. Now, from the Greatness Factory Studios, this is Super Coach.
Welcome back to Super Coach. Every week, coming into your life to multiply. That's what a good coach does, right? I want to say shout out Jay Cash, Nicole Mills, Mike Brooks, Andy Herzer. Had a great first shot this weekend. Joanna Goodman. Shout out to everybody watching the show today. Eric White's out there over down in the Greatness Factory calling on folks, trying to get them signed up for that ridiculous coaching special we got going on, $14.97 for a whole year of coaching, right? For a whole year of coaching for me, plus I include 2 days in my boot camp. Today I want to talk to you about a concept that I have thought about for many years, and I really struggled with from 20 to 30, to be honest with you. And it is the concept of how to be open to anything, closed off to nothing. Now, in the past year, I've been certified in the DISC profile. And the DISC profile teaches that there are basically two types of people. There is an open person and a guarded person. And I would call myself, Robbie Bollinger, from 20 to 30, a very guarded person. I took criticism very personal. I didn't want to see other people's point of view. I wasn't open. I wasn't receptive. And then I started to say, how do I become open to anything, closed off to nothing, right? I can't. So today we're going to basically unpack this. Today's show is about two things: how to remain in a humble posture. No matter how much success you have, no matter how good you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter what kind of results you've gotten, how do you remain in a humble posture, which I think is so critical. And then how do you learn to associate things, even bad things? How do you learn to take a bad experience and associate it to you? How do you learn to cross multiple disciplines? How do you learn something from over here and bring it over here? Because too many people have this framework in their mind that if this is not applicable to me. Okay, everywhere I go, everything is applicable to me. I can learn anything from anybody, anywhere, at any time. I can meet a person on the street that I can learn something from. I can meet a PhD and learn something from. Like I have a mindset that I'm open to anything, closed off to nothing. If you got a better way to do it than I'm currently doing, if you got some feedback from me, I'm open. Okay, so I got to get you in this concept of being open versus guarded. Guarded is I know everything. Guarded is I'm closed off. Guarded is I'm maybe narrow-minded. Guarded is I'm shut down. So I'm really not open to your feedback. It don't matter if you got a better way. If you got a better way of doing it, a million times better than the way I'm currently doing it, the way you're currently doing it. I am not open to you. And people ask me all the time, why won't that person make a shift? Why won't they get an increase? Why won't they move to a higher frequency? And I say, man, they're just not open. They're not open to being exposed to something new. They're not enlightened. The word enlightened means to shine light on darkness. What's up, Austin Swayze, Matt Warren, Nathan Crocker, Dusty Wilkerson, Jessica Prater? Now, so here's a philosophy. Open to anything, closed off to nothing. I remember in my time, in my life, early 20s, from 20 to 30, that I saw every single piece of feedback as criticism. It didn't matter what a person said to me. I thought It was them versus me. Now, I'm an old coach. Coaches get attacked a lot. People say negative things about them. Parents are constantly on them. But I remember a time in my life that I wasn't open to any feedback. This is my way. This is how I'm going to do it. And if I go down failing, I'm going down on my terms. And one of the things I used to remember is I used to hold the basketball players over after practice, meaning I would practice them from 1 to 3, 4 to 6, but many times we were an hour late. We would run over an hour. And I remember one of the parents saying to me, one of these days, you're going to have a child, and you're going to go to pick that child up, and you're going to sit in the parking lot for an hour later than what you told them. And I just said, man, suck it up. That's just too bad. We're going to go until we get finished. Okay? Now I look back on that, and I think, man, the dude was right. It's so inappropriate to make the parent sit there an hour later. Now I am a parent. Now I have a child. Now when I go to pick her up, if she was an hour late and I had to sit in the parking lot, who knows? Maybe I would be understanding because of who I was. But I wasn't even open to that feedback. The reality was I should have said, you're right. Why don't we plan on practice being this right here? Right, Andy? Why don't we plan on practice starting at this time and ending at this time? And if it's going to go late, let's give you a little buffer, 30 minutes. The parent was actually right. I was just so defensive. I was in such a defensive posture. Okay? Our goal should be to find the truth in every situation, even if it's a kernel of truth. Okay? That's what our goal should be. When you get feedback today about something, Daniel Hodges, may or may not like it, look for the kernel of truth in it. Like, man, that's a good point. I may not have liked the way you shared it with me. I may not have liked the demeanor you had. I may not have liked the approach you had. But, man, that's a good point. See, sometimes this hard feedback that we get really is something that we're good. So instead of seeing, not long ago, here's an example, then we'll move through this. Not long ago, I was coaching a real estate group. And I was using a stat. It was a commercial real estate group, but I was using a residential real estate stat. And what I was saying was, off every transaction you do, every real estate transaction, whether it be commercial or residential or whatever, short-term, long-term, you should strive to get 5.7 referrals. That should be your goal. And I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care if you're in the coaching business, real estate business, mortgage business, insurance business. If you have people, your goal should be to get 5.7 referrals from every transaction. That's what I was saying, okay? That was my feedback. Well, this person came back and said, well, I've got some feedback. You really used a residential real estate stat. We're commercial real estate people. I think you would get more buy-in if you used a commercial real estate. And I said, great point. Thank you for that. So I picked up the phone and I called the National Association of Commercial Real Estate People. Now, they haven't called me back. And they weren't even open today. And nobody answered the phone. But I called them to ask them this question. What is the stat that could be used? And my guess is that it's going to be between 3 and 6 or 4 and 6 referrals off every deal. Now, here's my point. Instead of focusing on that, I don't care what kind of business you have, residential, commercial, it doesn't matter to me. If we strive to get 5.7 referrals from every transaction, that would be a good thing. Even if we try to get 5.7 and we got 4. Even if we try to get 5.7 and we got 3. The point here is we're sometimes the way we see the problem is the problem. You see, instead of that person just listening to the coaching and associating, going, you know what, we need to do better with referrals. We need to stay in touch with our customers. We need to follow up after the sale. Instead of thinking like that, I call that association. That person was fixated on, well, he used a residential stat versus a commercial stat. It don't matter. It really don't matter. See, I call that majoring in the minors. Don't get caught majoring in the minors. Now, we come back from the break. Today, we're talking how to be open to anything, closed off to nothing. When somebody gives you feedback, Kevin Michelson and Curtis Sutton, when somebody gives you feedback, are you open to it? Even if it's the seed of truth, of something you don't want to hear. Like, will you listen to the feedback people give you? Because if a person gives you feedback and you don't use it and you don't get any results, then whose fault is it? Is it the messenger's fault for giving it to you, or is it your fault for not doing it? One of my best strategies is be open to anything, close off to nothing. We come back in segment 2, how to push for a win-win and how to learn anything from anybody, anywhere. I'm Coach Michael Burt, and you're watching Super Coach.
Monster Producer is an incredible network. The ability that Coach has to bring people together and bring them together in a place where you're comfortable, where it's easy to learn about other people's businesses, where it's easy to show people what you do. That network is the most powerful part about Monster Producer. Coach has an incredible way to teach you and to coach you and to motivate you and to keep you moving forward in your business and create certain structures for selling legacy, for ways to completely change your business and create a paradigm shift. That's what I get out of Monster Producer. Monster Producer has completely changed my business. I created a whole new service level from being a part of Monster Producer. One event that I came to caused me to think completely differently about what accounting is, what it does for other companies, and how we really help people. And so each time that I come to Monster Producer, I have a new way of thinking about my business that is different than before, and that's what I love coming to these events for. Every time I'm going to have a new way of thinking about my business.
Welcome back to Super Coach. I'm Coach Michael Burt. Hope you're doing great. New year, new opportunity. You know, I did a video not long ago about nothing will change in 2020 unless it changes. There will be no new revenue without new production. There will be no change without changing. There will not be a better body unless you're willing to work out and eat less calories. Like just because it's 2020 don't mean anything's going to change unless you change it. So today we're talking, will you be open to anything and closed off to nothing? You know, how hard is it for some people to take coaching, to take feedback? They see every feedback as a criticism. And it's not a criticism. Sometimes people have valuable feedback. Many times they have valuable feedback. But you're not open to it because you have your way. I can't tell you how many people say to me right out of the gates, now we're unique. We don't do it like anybody else does it. Like we are very special. Now, I'm not saying don't believe that you're special. I'm not saying don't believe your business is not unique. But what I am saying to you is that many times that very statement is the problem. Like this can't, I want you to really deeply understand me before you can help us. The reality is you don't have to understand another person to help them. You don't have to know their whole life story. If they're running a business, they got to get customers. They got to follow up. They got to service customers. They got to try to get referrals. They got to market and advertise. Like all businesses have to do the same things, okay? So my point, if you missed the first segment, was I was coaching a commercial real estate group. I used a residential real estate stat, but it really just wasn't a residential real estate stat. It was an insurance stat, and it was a retail stat, and it was a stat that said we should strive to get 5.7 referrals from every transaction. And instead of hearing that, a person that I was coaching said, well, he used the wrong industry. And in my opinion, the way we see the problem is the problem. What we should be focusing on is the concept of association. So I wrote in my notes, could you learn something from a bad book? Yes. Could you learn something from a bad customer experience? Could the worst year of your life also be the best year of your life? Could the worst day of your life become the best day of your life? Okay, right, Christy, Kennedy Ward, David Perez, Dale Childress, Sonia Turner. Like, could the way we see the problem could be the problem? And I was terrible, guys, from 20 to 30. I was so closed-minded. I was so stubborn. I was so hard-headed. I was so non-open. And I wrote in my notes, I didn't win any championships during that period of my life. I couldn't get people to fight for me. And I remember sitting down with Coach Rick Insell, who's became a good friend of mine. And I said, why am I not winning a championship? And he said, you don't, almost like, the old Jack Nicklaus thing, you don't want to hear the truth. He's like, you're more interested in winning ball games than winning championships. And I'm like, what? Like the way he said it, I was offended. I'm like, who are you to tell me, right? Oh, you've only won 10 championships. And I've won 0 championships. But here I am, Mr. Know-It-All. And I'm going to come in here every day. And right, I see Alan Bush on here, who's my high school basketball coach. And I'm sitting there talking to this coach, and I'm telling him, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And he's like, look, man, I understand. I love your ambition. I love your enthusiasm. But I've done this 10 times. I've been in 19 of these games. You've been in 0 of these games. Like, cool your jets and listen. and just take in what I got to give you. I don't care if you like the way I give it to you or not. Just take it, right? And I think for so many people, this is a position. What I want to do is I want to get you in a humble posture. I want to get you in a humble position. You know, Eric White on my sales team said that he knows a big-time person. He calls people all day long, typically 70 to 80 phone calls. And he said, I always know a big-time person when I have them on the phone. I always know a big-time person when I have them on the phone because they're always open. They're always inviting. They're never short or negative. Like they engage back and forth. You know why? They've learned this concept. Big-time people are open to anything, closed off to nothing, right? Big-time people, okay? You know, so when you think about these concepts, how are you becoming a big-time person? Now, let me get back to my notes. The concept today is how to be open to anything, closed off to nothing. This is about one thing. It's about posture. It's about mindset. It's about a spirit of curiosity. Okay? I can't tell you how many people say to me they're special. This is special. I want you to know more about what we do. A high-level learner it has the gift of association. Meaning, I'm hearing you talk about that, and it ain't got nothing to do with what I'm doing here. But it does have something to do with what I'm doing here. Like I'm extracting, right? I go to a restaurant and I see how they greet a person. I'm extracting. I go to a restaurant and have a bad experience. I'm watching. I'll listen to phone calls or have a phone call and a bad experience, and I'm learning. Everything is raw material to me. Everything is open. Everything is potential. Everything is a learning scenario. Why? Because I made up my mind that I'm going to be open to anything, closed off to nothing. What's up, Matt Tilton? So, this past year, in 2019, I had more conflict than almost any year of my life. I had a lot of conflict and a lot of unusual conflict. And I've learned that win-win is an attitude. It's not always an outcome. You come into it with a spirit of, hey, let me hear your way. Let me hear you. I want you to hear me. Would you be open to a new situation between us? Would you be open to new possibility? And I found out that some people are not win-win. They're win-lose. Why? Deeply scripted in scarcity. Not open to feedback, not open to partnership, not open to new opportunity. And those are people, quite frankly, that you don't want to have a relationship with. You want to move on. Why? Because they're not open. You can't help them. Okay, now you look at the law of diffusion. The law of diffusion tells me that everybody you pitch an idea to, roughly 16% are open and inviting to that idea. 16%. Then there's 34% of people that need to hear it 3 to 7 times. 34% of people need to see it 7 to 15 times. And 16% of people that ain't never going to see it. Why? They're just not open. So here's some things I learned about conflict this past year, because open to anything, closed off to nothing. How you handle criticism or feedback is critical to your bigger future. Don't miss this. It either opens the door to your future potential or it closes the door. How you handle feedback from other people either opens the door or it closes the door. Now, every single month, you can get this on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, get it on my YouTube channel. I'm going to pump out a great super coach every week. I want to be your coach. I want to be your coach. So you can go to CoachBurg.com right now. We're running an incredible special, 1 year of coaching for $1,497. I'll throw in my boot camp, 2 days with me, and I'm telling you, 2 days with me at that lodge can change everything for you. Every person that comes there, it's a magical place. It's a magical experience. I'm going to coach you for a year, and I'm going to give you 2 days at my lodge. So if you're interested in that, go to CoachBurg.com. Check on Monster Producer. We believe in helping people become legendary creatures. I believe everybody needs a coach in life. And here's my advice for you today. Be open to anything. Close off to nothing. Don't major in the minors. And the way you see the problem could be the problem. I'm Coach Michael Burg.
This event here that I'm at Coach's Lodge is the Monster Producer Retreat. I signed up for it a few months ago after talking to Eric and learning and following Coach with the idea that I want to become a professional coach and speaker. This retreat has been absolutely indispensable in my self-development. I'll tell you, my book came out 6 months ago, and in 6 months I'm getting on stages. I've been interviewed on the radio. I'm going to be on television. My book is the #1 book for young entrepreneurs. And if you had told me a year and a half ago that that would have happened, I would have laughed in your face. The key, folks, is that when you hire Coach Burt or you come to a retreat like this, is you've got to back it with action. And I guarantee if you back it with action, great things will happen. Being coached by Coach, man, is like a shot of adrenaline every day. I have never met anybody that has more energy radiating off of that forehead. He's got more energy just coming out of him, man, than Ferrari. I mean, he's on fire. He brings his A game. It's inspired me. That's how I've always been. And he's been a great coach, a great mentor, and I know over time he's going to become a great friend.